Hold on! If you're buying a pre-owned home, you may want to take some time to know a little bit about stucco before you make that purchase. In this video, we'll be going over some of the issues that you may not have noticed during your walk around the exterior. Many homes located in the western states are of the 3-coat conventional system. It is sometimes used in other states as well, but many of those states will either use the 1-coat system or the EIFS system, which is the exterior insulation finish system. Consult your realtor regarding which system is on the house you are purchasing. In this video, we'll be concentrated on the 3-coat system. To start off, here are some quick basics of the 3-coat system. The complete stucco system is 7/8 of an inch thick. First, you have what is known as lath. Lath is comprised of weep screed flashing, building paper, which is asphalt saturated felt paper, and 17-gauge stucco netting. The first coat of stucco is known as the scratch coat, comprised of Portland cement and sand. This coat is 3/8 of an inch thick. The second coat is known as the brown coat. It is also comprised of Portland cement and sand. This coat is 3/8 of an inch thick as well. The final coat is the color coat, comprised of white cement, lime, and silica sand. This coat is 1/8 inch. In total, it's 7/8 of an inch thick. Post-1970s, FHA weep screed was introduced to hold the stucco up off the soil where it could not absorb moisture from the ground. Unfortunately, most homeowners didn't know that moisture from their sprinklers would delaminate and blister the stucco. In the early days prior to the 70s, the stucco system terminated into the soil. Terminating into the soil came with some issues. Since stucco is porous, it has a wicking effect and absorbs any moisture from the soil into the system. Moisture in small amounts is okay, but if too much is introduced, it can cause the system to blister and delaminate. In those days, people painted their stucco. Paint didn't allow for the evaporation from the stucco system. It kept the stucco wet longer, which caused the stucco system to blister and delaminate. Here is a short video from one of my other videos that may help explain. Unfortunately, on most stucco homes, the owner, needing to keep their lawn green, will inadvertently spray the stucco wall as well, not knowing this can eventually destroy the stucco system. Since the stucco is porous and absorbs water, the system becomes saturated with moisture. Fortunately, since the stucco system is so porous, this has a reversible effect and begins to evaporate back out through the wall. But if the wall does not fully evaporate the moisture before the next cycle of spraying begins, this can also destroy the stucco. When the ground level is above the weep screed, the moisture doesn't necessarily need to come from the sprinklers to delaminate the stucco system. As you can see in this illustration, the moisture travels up the wall and a small percentage is allowed to escape through the wall and evaporate. If paint is applied on the exterior of the stucco wall, the moisture still travels up the wall but has no means for escape. Eventually, the moisture finds a weak area of the stucco begins to degrade and push out on the painted area, and in most cases breaks through the paint. If this continues, this can cause the lath paper to degrade, as well as causing moisture to infiltrate into the stud cavity and eventually causing mold issues. It'd be like taking a wet sponge, putting it in a plastic baggie, zipping it up, and expecting it to dry. It just won't happen. Here are some images of what moisture can do to stucco. Moving on to other concerns regarding stucco. A hot topic with home inspectors and most homeowners are stucco cracks. To start off, here are a few images that are considered in the industry to be normal stucco cracking. Cracks that extend from the corner of windows and doors are stress cracks and are considered normal and should be expected on all stucco homes. Later on, we'll get into stucco cracks that should be of high concern. They are considered stress cracks because the weight from the wall above the window or door needs to be distributed around these areas to prevent damage to them. Here are some cracks that are located in the field of the stucco and are not normal and should be looked at by a qualified stucco specialist to determine the causes. The first wall has a checkerboard style of cracking. This is not normal. This wall has a cross-like crack in the field of the stucco. This crack not only extended off the corner of the window, but into the field of the stucco. These cracks are not normal and should be looked at by a qualified stucco specialist. The next series of images are what I call the straight crack. This should definitely be looked at and or corrected by a qualified stucco specialist. In this image, you can see a vertical crack running from the top to the bottom. Most likely a room addition was constructed on the right side of this wall. We can also see a difference of stucco texture. Later, I will show you why you should really be concerned about differences of textures. This style of cracking allows moisture from sprinklers or rain to enter the wood substrate and cause wood rot. In this photo, you can see a straight crack extended from the bottom of the wall, vertically to the top, and horizontally across. This most likely used to be a patio area and a room addition built in its place. Here is another image of a straight crack. Again, difference of texture. Here we have an area that has a crack going around what could have been a bathroom access door, and another crack going around something else that was removed. Here's an illustration of how moisture can reach the wood substrate and cause wood rot. Let's bust out the stucco to expose what's underneath. The reason for the straight crack is due to the new and old stucco wire netting not overlapping, and the moisture leak is due to the felt papers not overlapping. Here is an image of a newly lathed room addition. As you can see, the new wire couldn't possibly have overlapped the old stucco wire. Instead, the old stucco wire and paper had been cut through with a diamond blade on a skill saw. If you see any negligence like this, be wary of other issues that may be hidden. Here is another illustration of the way this situation should and needs to be addressed. The stucco needs to be broken out with either a hammer, hammer and chisel, or a handheld jackhammer. It should never be cut with a diamond blade on a skill saw. The break should be jagged and not straight. This helps the new stucco to bond better with the old. Once the stucco is broken out, approximately 4 to 6 inches of the old wire should be folded back. New paper overlapping the old, new wire extending to the stucco break, the old wire folded over the new and re-nailed or stapled with lath fasteners. Then the stucco process can commence. In this image, we have an exterior staircase. On the side of these stairs, you can see stucco cracks. Without doing any intrusive investigating, I would assume the stair rail bolts were the cause of the moisture leaking past the bolts, causing the wood substrate to become wet, and swelling, causing the stucco to crack. Here we have two images of railings on balconies that were penetrating through the stucco system and was not sealed properly, causing moisture to migrate into the wood substrate and causing these stucco cracks. Here's a clip from one of my other videos on the use of bituthane titled, "Not Another Stucco Crack." This type of crack is usually found on the top of parapet balcony walls or anything that acts as a stucco shelf. This is another type of stucco crack that you should be aware of. As you can see, there is a crack in the stucco that extends the entire top of the wall. With the owner's permission, we were able to do some intrusive investigating to determine if bituthane was applied to the top of the wall prior to the wiring and the stucco. In the image on the right, we found that only building paper was used to wrap the top of the wall, allowing the wood substrate to swell from moisture and causing the stucco to crack. Here is a common wall that did not employ the bituthane membrane over the top prior to the application of the stucco netting. As you can see, the building paper on the other side of the wall had deteriorated from moisture, exposing the stucco. The weep screed showed signs of rust as well. To add insult to injury, The bottom wood sill plate was damaged from moisture rot. In this image, you can see a stucco crack running along the face of this shelf area. Without doing any intrusive investigating, I would assume betathane was not used on the shelf area. In this image, you can see a stucco crack running along the face of this stuccoed over wood trim. Without doing any intrusive investigating, I would assume betathane was not used in this area as well. If you remember earlier, I mentioned that I would show you why you should be concerned about difference of textures. Here we have a newly installed electrical panel. I know that it is a bit difficult to see the difference of texture here. Surprisingly, no stray crack was noticed. As I looked inside, I noticed that they did not only use the wrong type of paper, but it wasn't sealed to the underside of the electrical panel, exposing the newly installed stucco. Since stucco is porous, it allows moisture to seep into it. Moisture and electricity do not mix. A bit further down the wall, we can see that the new paper didn't properly overlap with the old, allowing the new stucco to be exposed. In this image, we not only have a straight crack, but a difference of texture as well. After busting out some of the stucco on the lower right corner of the window, I noticed that the window did not employ proper window flashing under the flange of the vinyl window, exposing the wood substrate. If sprinklers or rain were to hit this window, moisture would enter the house, causing wood rot and potential unwanted growth, mold. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about discoloration or staining of stucco and issues that come with them. Here we see staining of the stucco under the eave areas. When you see this, you are witnessing what was or what is still occurring. This type of staining is due to a roof leak and should be looked at by a qualified roofing specialist. In one of my other videos titled, My Roof Leak, I explain in detail how this works. And last but not least, here's an image that shows staining of the stucco under a balcony. When you see this type of staining, it usually means there is an ongoing or remnants of a prior deck leak and should be looked at by a qualified deck specialist. In this image, you can see a stain on the corner of this wall. The reason why you don't see staining on the ceiling, or better known as soffit in this area, is because it was painted. Paint has a way of concealing issues. Another reason, do not paint your stucco. If the house you are planning to purchase has been painted, please find a well-seasoned, qualified home inspector. Here is another example of a deck leak. I hope this video gave you some insight on what to look for regarding stucco issues, and hopefully it armed you with the knowledge to protect you when making this important home purchase. And if you happen to notice that the water heater is outside, see if you can get someone to put it inside. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.